Um, it would have been a day that I really would have kind of wondered about the sanity of the people that I live around. Had I not known, it had not be a day when, you know, I, like I normally do, have kept up on what's new and what's great and what's good and what's just plain silly, but what just is. But all over the great town of New Carlisle last night when I was driving around, we were going to pick up some food real quick, there were people, their phones in hand, walking around like that, all over the village. They walked across gardens, they walked sideways across the street as if cars didn't exist. They walked around as if yards and borders and fences didn't mean anything.
Zombies.
But, you know, just like that. Now, I know, to inform you how I found out about why they did that. A friend of mine who's always up on the latest thing and is never short on posting anything new, weird and sometimes disagreeable and often just novel and offending, showed a picture of himself walking through his own church and capturing a Pokemon in the pews of his church. Yes, folks, there's a new game for your phone. When you walk around, you can find Pokemon, and when you take a photo of where they are, of course the phone kind of makes it happen. Inside, you've captured a Pokemon. Lovely. How long before the first person is going to get run over the road in New Carlisle because they just had to cross the road because there was a, yes, officer, I had to get the Pokemon. I'm trying to teach a kid how to drive, who, God bless, hasn't gotten into this little habit. But so you have to actually teach a kid what to do when idiots cross the road, or at least distracted folks addicted to their cell phone. What kind of times do we live in, folks? If there had been a person lying dead by the side of the road, I'm almost certain. Okay, so I'm giving these people a little bit of credit. The corner of their eyes would have caught them, but they would have captured the Pokemon first. I will bet it. Maybe my faith in humanity has just reached a new low, or maybe my cynicism has just blown up. And the last week, probably both of those are in play. And then, of course, I open the Bible and look what I get to preach on, folks, you know this parable, but let's review what goes on here. You've heard the old saying that clothes make the man. It's more or less true. You can tell a lot about this person by how they dress. If you meet me on the street on a working day, what would you see? A collar. What would that lead you to think? I'm a pastor of some sort. If you see somebody in lederhosen and a felt hat with a little feather in it, what would that say? You're from Bavaria. That's what it says. It does not say that you're German. It says you're from Bavaria.
Or at least pretending to.
If they're long leather pants, you're from Switzerland. Kniebundhosen, yeah. If you see somebody running around, it's a guy, and he's in a checkered dress of some skirt of some sort, you know that you're looking at somebody who's at least, at minimum, he's trying to impersonate a Scotsman. And if he's Scottish, and you're Scottish, you can, from the pattern of his kilt, figure out what clan he belongs to. That's what these things were there for once upon a time. You can tell things about people based on how they dress. Clothes make a statement. What if all that is removed? Well, nobody can tell. By the side of the road between Jerusalem and Jericho, if you are found without clothes, nobody knows who you are. Are you from Jerusalem? Are you from Jericho? Are you from Chorazin? Are you from the foot of Mount Gerizim? Are you a foreigner? Are you a local Jew? Are you a Samaritan? Are you whatever? You cannot tell. And you're unconscious. There is no way to tell who you are from how you speak. How many of you have an accent that gives you away? Yeah, no, Joyzy, right? Yeah, if you start going, we know you're from Joyzy.
New York.
New York.
Elizabeth and I have some different problems, yeah?
You think
But
you're Irish?
guess what? If all y'all walked into Nashville, Tennessee, they'd go, you're from Ohio, aren't you? So here you are. Nobody knows who you are. You're just lying there as a hunk of meat. And not to make this even worse, nobody knows if you're alive or dead because you're not moving. All right, now suddenly for those who walk by, suddenly life must slow down a little bit, All these little identifying marks, like language, like clothes, like everything, kind of identifies people. It makes life simpler and quicker. You can live at the speed of light if you see all this. However, if all those marks are removed, suddenly you will have to slow down life and try to figure out what's going on. And for that, you have to let your life slow down. You have to give it permission. Make matters worse. If you're on the road between Jericho and Jerusalem, robbers are a reality. You may be lying there as a warning. That's what your body might tell everybody. Beware, beware, be very, very aware. You might just be bait for the next one. That's what it's like to lie by this road between Jericho and Jerusalem. Good luck. Joy, would you show some pictures of the road between Jericho and Jerusalem? Okay, now here you have a nice map, just so that you can understand what's going on here. It's not far, all right? Now show the next picture. It's steep. It's 800 feet below sea level to over 2,000 feet above sea level. What's that road like?
Uphill.
It's a rough place. It's just like life, folks. It's a rough place. It's a really steep and harsh descent, or it's an arduous, difficult climb through the wilderness with rocks and crags and stuff to hide behind all over. It's just like life. You can go back to the next slide after that. Ah, yes, icons. I love icons. That road is kind of like life, says this icon. And there, those who once were dressed in all the promises of life, to the right left there, are overcome by evil, and are left unrecognizable by the side of the road. By the way, that person on the left there is Adam. That's what Jesus picks up on the side of the road. That's what he hauls off to that place all the way over on the right. Who's that? What's that? What's it look like? Looks like the entrance to our church to me. The little building there. Yeah. Life has this kind of rough road territory. Real rough road territory. The road is traveled by many, and in our story here, it's easy to be the second person at the scene because you had already had somebody who's of authority and who's being trusted, who has just walked ahead of you and has done nothing, so you might do just as well the same thing, right? I mean, the priest should have known what to do, right? So if you're the second person there, well, the priest didn't do anything. Maybe I don't need to either. Samaritan did something. Somehow his heart was able to slow down. His heart was able to be merciful. He was willing to go. He was willing to be there. Even though the guy probably was Judean. Even though that guy probably resented the fact that a Samaritan was touching him. That a Samaritan was putting Samaritan oil on his wounds. Even though that if this man had died, the Samaritan would probably have been blamed for it. And in those days, if somebody died and you had care of him, his family was coming after you. And they weren't just there to ask a few questions. It's so much easier on this road between Jericho and Jerusalem to just obey custom, wisdom, and etiquette, common custom, wisdom, and etiquette, and not interrupt your life and just go on. It's a tough place to be lying by the side of the road, folks. Life is a really tough place to be lying by the side of the road. When nobody wants to stop, nobody wants to take the risk, nobody wants to do anything about you. Last week, we read about the apostles traveling the land, roads like that, without purse, bag, or sandal. Tough places. They were traveling innocently. And of them, Jesus then said, I thank you, Father, Lord of heaven and earth, that you have hidden these things from the wise and the understanding and revealed them to little children. Yes, the ultimate unwise people, little children. You watch hero movies, swashbuckling movies and the like. No, this is going to be difficult. But every once in a while you have this scene where the hero has been just kind of beaten up by life around him and is lying there, and he's just barely coming to, there's flies all over him, he's caked in blood and mud and all these kind of good things. And he's about to gain a new friend. You know who this friend tends to be? It tends to be a kid, and the kid has a stick. And the kid's going up to him, and he's poking him with a stick, trying to figure out whether he's still alive. If you're a Star Trek fan, it's a little bear that's poking Princess Leia. She's still alive. But you realize this character is doing something that maybe is a capacity that you and I have lost. This is why Deuteronomy says it's not too difficult to understand. You know that? Don't lose your childlike curiosity about life and things that are around. Be willing to go over there and take the little risk, and out of curiosity and just out of humanity, go figure out what's going on with this neighbor that is next to you. It's not too hard to understand. It's not too hard to see. Your curiosity about people, your love for humanity, it always, 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 says Jesus, must get the better of you. Should get the better of you. Loving the neighbor means that you actually care what happens to others in all ways. You know well, there are plenty of folks, especially right now, after what's happened this week, this last 10 days I should probably say, who are now in the business of trying to place blame. And some of these things are outrageous and outlandish and just plain silly. And all of them lack one thing. Do you actually care about other people? I mean, let's start there. I'm going to be very, very simple. Yes, the problems are very difficult. Do you care for other people? Enough. Go over and go see what happened to them. And otherwise I have to ask you where your hearts are, and are they beating? And you have an excuse if you're dead not to care. But while you're alive, let your fascination with life and the life of the neighbor please get the better of you at all times and in all places. We sing at the beginning of worship, we sing it every once in a while, this little Kyrie that says, in this world of fear and violence, make our lives a prayer of peace. Are you a prayer of peace in this thing as well? in the many things that happen around us and the many things that will yet happen to us? I know somebody suggested that we should, that all of us, kind of go and take a time out, a really long time out. Everybody should be taking a time out now because we have gone crazy. I disagree. I really disagree. On the contrary, we shall and we need to find our neighbors and be there, the peaceful people. There is a simple sentence that gets overlooked in this story that Jesus tells. Little simple sentences out on the lips of the Samaritan, and it says, "When I come back, I will repay you for everything else that you need to care for this man." Nothing at all is lost that you expend in the care of other people. Nothing. There will be enough, and not only that, nothing is lost, but it is kept safe as praise in heaven. It is kept to the glory of God and the rejoicing of the angels that somebody cared about somebody else finally. So, by the side of the road, the Lord Jesus Christ finds Adam, finds you, finds everybody, and puts them in places where the hope is that just out of curiosity and humanity, richly is shared everything with those people, and those people are you. So that those people will become travelers on a road that go over, that see, that poke a little bit and go, "Are you okay? Can I be help? Can I be peace?" Nothing is lost when that's done. I pray indeed that God will make our lives a prayer of peace.